Video is now in session, and the Arizona audit that was conducted and its results that were released on Friday have shown that the Republicans' audit has essentially produced nothing. So this audit it didn't produce really anything, and it's been happening for months. But there has been one thing that was produced, which is that Joe Biden won the election, and he actually won a couple of dozen more votes than was initially counted, and Trump actually had more than 200 additional votes than he was supposed to get. So essentially, it was a reversal of what. Essentially, I guess it was a backfire for the Arizona Republicans, because there's really nothing shown from this audit, and that Biden actually won more votes, and that Trump lost. Trump should have won less votes than he got in the 2020 election. So, with this, what are the Republicans thinking at this point? Well, they're thinking of doing more audits. They're saying that there's undeniable evidence of fraud, and that the Arizona GOP leader says that we need a new audit for the Arizona election. And it's completely ridiculous at this point. It's ridiculous that they keep talking about fraud, even though they've done, at this point, dozens of audits, have gone through dozens of court cases, have gone through dozens of conspiracy theories, and have incited in insurrection, and nothing has happened. Literally nothing has happened to change the 2020 election. And the reason why is because it's not the 2020 election. It was completely conducted in a fair way, and a fair and responsible way, not in a way that would produce fraud, but responsible, because ultimately it's very hard to rig an election. It's hard to flip the votes, and you can see through these audits that are happening from Arizona to Georgia to Wisconsin to Pennsylvania that none of them are producing hard evidence of actual fraud. Now, in the report, they did say hypotheticals of potential fraud, because and this is where Donald Trump comes in, because he said that the Cyber Ninjas audit found significant and undeniable evidence of fraud. What he means by that is that in the report, Cyber Ninja stated that there could be fraud, that there are hypotheticals that could have happened, like the signatures could have been wrong, or this could have been done incorrectly, and as a result, it's a fraud. But the thing is, that's really ridiculous at this point, because they are bringing up hypotheticals of potential fraud, and there's a difference between hypothetical and something that actually has something to prove it, to back it up. It's like saying, for example, like I'm holding this water bottle, so I could potentially drop this water bottle. Who knows? I could do that. That's essentially what Cyber Ninjas is saying, and it's ridiculous because it's making a hypothetical that's just not based off of any evidence. That's not based off of anything. A hypothetical is not a theory in any way, because a hypothetical does not have to be based on some sort of evidence or some sort of finding from a previous experiment, in this case a previous audit. So it's ridiculous, but it's also kind of dangerous at this point, because now what we're seeing is that Republicans are completely in favor of saying that the 2020 election was rigged. A lot of Republicans think that that is true, or that at least there were some irregularities in that election. And that is pretty dangerous for American democracy, primarily because this election was not rigged, and essentially Trump is just airing his grievances. But for Republicans, the idea of losing really hits home to them. It's kind of like the 2016 election. We saw Hillary Clinton supporters kind of frustrated and disappointed that Hillary Clinton was not able to win, and then they started saying that Russia hacked the 2016 election, even though even though if they did truly do that, it wouldn't have done anything because it was ultimately Hillary Clinton's fault for her loss. The same thing is happening here in 2020, except that there is no fraud. There is no fraud in any sort of light. None from the mail-in ballots, none from the voting machines. And yet, there are people who still continue to believe that this election was stolen from Donald Trump, even though Joe Biden had over 270 electoral votes. I mean, just use logic, okay? Use logic. Why would the Democrats only flip Arizona and Georgia if they were looking to steal the election? Why couldn't they just flip North Carolina or Florida or Maine 2nd District or Ohio? They could flip a bunch of these states. And then the other thing is, or they could have just not flipped Georgia and Arizona at all, and they would have still won that election. But it's just a lot of baloney from Republican operatives who are looking to make money for themselves by brainwashing individuals into thinking that the 2020 election was stolen when it really wasn't. But it's going to be damaging. It will be damaging for the Republicans if they keep doing this up until the 2022 elections, because the 2022 elections, it's going to be an elections about policy and about getting out the vote. But the thing is, though, that saying that the 2020 election was rigged is not really a good campaign strategy. Not only is it not focusing on the future and on the present because it's focusing on a past election, but it also it doesn't encourage in any way for the Republicans, to turn out. It doesn't encourage them to vote for the 2022 election, because for many Republicans, they look at the elections and say that, well, the Democrats are going to rig it. Why bother voting? So that's what happened in Georgia in 2021, and if they keep doing this, if Republicans keep going at the 2020 election kind of strategy, then they're not going to win 2022 in a way that they want to. They're not going to have a major takeover of the House, and they could give Democrats an additional seat in Pennsylvania in the 2022 election. So it's ridiculous for the Republicans, but it's not working for them. It's not working for them, and they're essentially going into a tangent where instead of focusing on 2022, they're still focusing on 2020 when it's currently 2021. So that's unfortunate for the Republicans, because at this point, they have a very good chance of taking over both chambers of Congress. But if they keep talking about the 2020 election, then Democrats can easily go in and say that, well, the Republicans are not talking about how they're going to help you. They're just talking about their own election and airing their own grievances. But instead, we're going to talk about policies, and we're going to help you, the American public, both the working class and the middle class. That's something that the Democrats could easily campaign on if the Republicans just keep talking about cultural issues and the 2020 election. But at this point, it seems like the only thing that they're willing to do, that's the only thing they're willing to do, and that's unfortunate for them. So that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. This video is now adjourned, and I'll see you in the next one.